So, hello everyone. Thank you for the introduction. I hope you can see my slides. So, my name is Andrius, surname is Semeskevicius, very difficult to pronounce. I'm working in TEO for the last 10 months, I would say. Before approximately 20 years, I spent working in IT. So, I'm really IT guy. I started with the computers 14, 15 years old, and I continue. So now I have a huge responsibility over the technology unit at TEO, and as you know, TEO is one of the largest ICT companies in Lithuania. So today I would like to share my experience, my knowledge about IT security. And maybe we have to think why IT security is important, should we worry about it. So I will show some real case examples, real cases regarding IT security, and we'll give some recommendations how to avoid such situations in your private life or in your business or in your all your life cycle, because the IT threats are coming, and if you are not cautious, you might be attacked by some bad guys. So first example is, I would say it's an official map of video cameras. There are plenty of similar maps like this, and it's based on Google. So some guys are kind of indexing the video cameras on the net. They're putting on the map, and the problem here is that any of these cameras are accessible to anyone. So if you click on one of these red dots, you will see the live picture, maybe of this room or maybe of your hotel room. And the problem is that there are plenty of cameras sold across the world, and they are outdated. They are not secure. And the bad guys can connect to those cameras and see you or your picture. So I tried to find something in Lithuania. Here is the office of one company. When I took this screenshot, nobody was working because it was early morning, but I was successful this morning. It is office in Vilnius, one company. I still cannot get the address or contacts of this company because I know the IP address. And if you would like to see, I can show you some real picture. I hope they are working. Yes, the same lady is working. Here. So you can see visitors, you can see IP address over the top. So actually, where is the problem? I have similar camera at home. It's very convenient. You go for vacation, right? So from your smartphone, you can check what's happening in your garden, in your home. If there is an alarm system and security company is calling, the first thing you do, you check on the camera. The glass is broken, the door is open or not. Yeah, so everything is fine. But the problem is that most of these cameras are sold 5-10 years ago. The vendors are not upgrading the firmware. The users are not aware of the latest vulnerabilities, and these cameras are exposed to the internet. So if you use any of those, make sure that it's patched or it's not connected directly to the internet. So just one example, right? So my presentation consists of 3 blocks, and the first block about bad guys. Yeah, bad guys about the guys who are creating external threats to us, or we can call this block IT diseases. Yeah, so we can get some IT disease caused by the fraudsters. The second block is about IT paralysis threat, meaning that your company or your, I don't know, your private life is really depends on IT, and if IT fails, might be your company failing, might be hospital failing, and many bad things can happen. So I call it IT paralysis. The third block, we call it IT vitamins or recommendations, and I believe that you can have only healthy business only with healthy IT, not the opposite. Of course you can have healthy IT, but probably your business won't be so healthy. But if you have healthy IT, there is a big probability that your business will be successful as well. So let's start with the first block about these bad guys. So you know that there are many IT threats surrounding us. There might be software bugs. Yeah, so bug, if there is a bug, your computer crashed, nothing happens, right? You restarted, you're working. But the bad guys are using those bugs and using different vulnerabilities to gain some money from you. And unfortunately, these bad guys are very business-oriented, right? So they are making business out of technology, out of IT. And I will start with the first example. It's most known example, published everywhere. Probably if you know it, it will be boring, but it will be just 1 minute. It's about Iran. It was the first case, such a loud case, in 2009 and 2010, right? So Iran was trying to build the nuclear weapon, you know that. They had the factories where they tried to enrich uranium, and they failed. So what happened there? Do you know? Probably everybody knows. Yeah, they had these centrifuges, they are spinning, they are trying to enrich uranium, and these centrifuges started to fail. We had approximately 3,000 centrifuges, and approximately half of them failed during 2009-2010. The control, where the guys are sitting in front of the computers and controlling the factory, they are monitoring temperature, rotation speed. We didn't understand what's happening because everything was fine. The green parameters, yeah, the rotation speed is okay, but nevertheless, the centrifuges were failing. I would compare with your car. If you start your car engine and shut it down every 5 seconds, right after half a year, it will be completely broken. So exactly the same situation happened at the factory, but this was caused by the virus, right? So virus was shutting down or changing the speed of centrifuges, but in the control center we didn't see anything. So it was possible because the networks where the centrifuges were connected and the office network where the users were working were connected. So it was possible to get access from the office network or from the office computer back to the factory where the centrifuges connected and where the control systems are installed. So it is known case, officially confirmed, lots of articles about it. Now moving to the next one, 2014. It's a pretty recent case. It was published just by NDR, by German Federal Office of IT Security, BSI. You can read about it in Symantec report. If you read German, you can go to their website. So what happened there? So 2014, there was a cyber attack against the German steel factory. The location is undisclosed, but it's a huge factory. And the virus was targeting control systems of the factory. You know the control systems that regulate temperature, shut down, increase temperature, put more gas to the equipment. And actually the blast furnace in Lithuanian it's aukštakrosnė. So the huge big thing which is heating the steel was damaged because they couldn't shut down it. So it was heating, and the computers were not responding. So there was no way, they didn't have a mechanical way to shut it down. So it actually was damaged, $1 million loss. And it is confirmed by the previously mentioned BSI organization that it was due to a virus attack. Again, you can see the way, how did it go? It went from the people, maybe USB stick, maybe email, to the applications, then to the network, from the office network, down to the factory network where the control systems are connected, targeting that specific equipment and damaging the components of the system. Pretty recent case, and it's a second case where officials confirm that this virtual virus or program, you cannot touch it, right? It's a program, does the real damage on the physical infrastructure. Yeah, think about it. Slide about Ignalina. I don't know if you're aware that in Lithuania we had Ignalina's nuclear plant. It suspended production in 2009, I think, right? Why do I have this slide? So, Stuxnet, then German steel factory, and now Ignalina. It's really strange, but in 1992, many years ago, right? The computer programmer Oleg Savchuk planted the virus into the control system of the factory. 1992, he planted a virus. What happened there? The virus was distorting the readings of the sensors. So if the temperature somewhere is 500 Celsius, it was showing 600. If the rotation speed of some equipment, 1000 RPM, it was showing maybe 500. So it was distorting, but not with a big difference, but let's say 10-15%. At the same time, while he planted the virus, there was an accident. The cooling system failed of one of the reactors, and the reactor was shut down. And then there was an investigation. In such infrastructure, if there is an incident, there is an investigation. And by that time, the investigators discovered that there is a virus in the control system. It's not clear if the virus caused this incident or it was just coincident, but the programmer was arrested, and his real motive wasn't disclosed. But as you know, 1992, Lithuania got independence or was trying to get independence. There are lots of speculations that the guy was trying to make a second Chernobyl. Nobody knows. But the fact is the fact that he was arrested by doing this. So, now let's get closer to our homes. Does anybody have such device at home? I do. Or similar. Oh, one guy, two guys, good. Do you know why to have this device in general? It's network attached storage, very simple. You have several hard drives inside. Yeah, you connect it to the network. So if you make photos, videos, whatever, from your computer, you can copy it to this device over the network. The good thing, when do you lose the data? If your hard drive is broken, right? So on the computers, the hard drives broke pretty often. On this device, you have two disks, right? They are mirrored. So if one disk broken, the second one is working. Perfect. So I have such device at home. All my family photos, all my memories are there. Of course, I do also some other backups, maybe to the cloud. But this device usually is a primary source to keep your data. And what happens? Last year, end of summer, boom! Everywhere you can read these from the newspapers. The Synology network attached storage devices were attacked by the virus. And the virus is asking to pay ransom, and some cops or police department in some United States city paid the ransom to free the data. Interesting, right? So the virus gets into the device, encrypts all the data, and you lose the access to the data. When you try to access the data, you get this screen. It says that you have 6 days, 20 minutes, 20 hours to pay the ransom. The ransom is worth 0.6 Bitcoin. At that time, it was from $300 to $500. So if you pay the ransom, they send you the code, and then your data is decrypted. You can access the data. Without that code, there was no way to recover the data. So all your data is encrypted. So now I know that you are lots of scientists and you are friendly with math. So let's do a simple calculation. 600,000 or 500,000, 500,000, you can say, infected devices across the world in 1 week. 500,000 devices in 1 week. Every fifth is paying the ransom. It's a statistics. Yeah, because everyone was contacting Synology, asking for the help. Synology said, sorry guys, we cannot help you. So you decide, you pay the ransom or you lose the data. So every fifth paid the ransom. So out of, every fifth, yes? So out of 500,000, 100,000 paid. The ransom was from $300 to $500. So it's $50 million in 1 week. Now you understand why the hackers, why the bad guys are so business oriented. It's quite easy, right, to make money. Of course, I'm pretty sure that to prepare and to create such sophisticated encryption and software which is distributing, it took them probably half a year or maybe even longer. But be aware that these are across us everywhere. So how do we get such infections? Just as one example, yeah, there are typical sources of infection. So you can get phishing email where you have a forced link. You can go to website. For example, you're typing, I don't know, Microsoft.com, and you mix two letters. There is a big probability that you will be redirected to the site where you will, the hackers will try to infect you. Then, of course, infected USB stick. While I was younger, I had these, diskettes. Every second diskette had a virus at that time. It was easy to clean them. Then infected PC in the line. If you have visitors, they are connecting PC to your network. The infection might go out from the infected PC. And then even shared printer could be a source of infection. Right? So now, 2013, Russia, St. Petersburg. Foreign delegates of a conference received gift bags. Something like this. Yeah? You also received, I suppose. check what's inside. I encourage to check what's inside. The trick is that in the gift bags we had some paper materials and as well as electronic media. You had the USB stick, memory stick, the presentation with some materials, and the charger. Yeah, for your phone, for a smartphone. The trick is that here you had some malware or the virus, intended to spy on you. But the most interesting thing, the charger. You see, it has a USB port. USB port can feed not only the power, but USB port can feed the data as well, right? So the charger had a microchip installed with a specific software that infects your PC similar way as this USB stick. Of course, Russians denied such allegations, but you know, this guy knows a lot about those who plug the phones or the sticks into their computers. Yeah, so be careful, and I would recommend to use the stock chargers that came with your phone from the factory. So these are most likely not to be infected. But anyways, like in your private life, if you are going left and right and you want to stay clean, it's recommended to use so-called USB condoms. These are on sale actually in Amazon and some other shops. So it's an additional small device which filters out the data communication. So the USB cable, which is connected to phone or computer, feeds only the power. Doesn't feed the data connection. So you can buy those, or if you're familiar with soldering, you can build your own version. But probably it will take some time. So remember phishing? I just put some examples about the phishing. I'm using PayPal. One thing that I never mix my private life and business life. So here is I'm receiving this in my business account. So the first indication that something might be wrong, because I used to use some other email for such activities. Because if you buy something on Amazon or eBay, you usually pay with PayPal. So I'm receiving this saying that important notice, and there is a link. Yeah, if I click the link, what happens? You know probably already now. So if you move a mouse over this link, your email client is showing some URL, so-called address, where you will be redirected. And this URL, you see the digits, it's not legitimate. Yeah, it's fake. So never click the links in the emails you don't trust or you are not intended to receive. Another example, it's actually DNB in Lithuanian. Strange for me was that crooks made this fake site. They prepared everything, but they were so lazy to write more text in Lithuanian. Because, you know, if you're targeting Germany, you usually write in German. If you're targeting English-speaking countries, you're writing in English. So this email is coming from hackers, so to say, in Lithuanian, but only a few words in Lithuanian. So it's immediately or obvious that it is fake. But anyway, never click those links on the emails. And I'm a little bit afraid that there will be techniques soon even to bypass this security. So if you open the link, it will go automatically to the website, but maybe not. Are you familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Yeah, HR people or human resources people tend to teach us about this, you know, psychology needs and so on and so on. Usually I don't have time for these events. They come, you know, with very wrong time when you do a budget or something important happens, you know, they come and say, let's go to the training. And there is a new hierarchy of needs. So after 70 years, now we have to adjust it. Yeah, it's Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi is more important than anything else. When you go to the restaurant, pay attention to the people who are coming to the restaurant. What do? They don't look at the menu, they don't go to the restroom, they try to connect to Wi-Fi. And if Wi-Fi is not working, they leave the restaurant, right? When I book the hotel, I always check, do they have a Wi-Fi? Okay, in Europe it's fine, but in some Asian countries or in the US, it might be difficult to get it. So Wi-Fi is important for us. And the bad news about Wi-Fi is that if you use open Wi-Fi is not secure. So in this hotel, we have open Wi-Fi, right? And I'm saying that it's not secure. Do you know why? It's like, you know, sitting in the restaurant. When you talk to your lover or girlfriend in the restaurant, if you talk too loud, some people around you can listen for your conversation, right? So what the bad guys can do? Here is the access point, which is sending Wi-Fi signal. Here is you with your computer or smart device. Yeah, radio signal, you're talking to to the access point. And your conversation is more or less open, because it's open Wi-Fi, right? So anyone who can understand this language can listen what you're talking. So the hackers or cyber criminals can spy on it. You just need a simple notebook computer. I'm not prepared to show demo, but I can do it if needed. To show how your phones are syncing with your email accounts and so on. So the hacker can sniff on the traffic which is passing from your PC to the access point. And the biggest threat here is that the hacker can position himself into the middle of this conversation. So actually at one point of time you stop talking directly to this access point, but you talk to the hacker, and then he relies the conversation to the access point. So you don't see any difference, but then 100% of information is passing through the hacker's computer. What happens here? All your data, all your credentials, all your passwords, usernames, everything is visible to this guy. Right? So there is a big risk. So what to do in this case? So I encourage to use VPN or virtual private networks. Usually companies have these virtual private network solutions. If you are a private person or you don't have such, there are free options available. One was security keys. So if you Google security keys, they provide 300 megabytes, I think, of VPN for free. So it's simple installation. You configure the VPN server, and then the data from your PC to access point goes encrypted. If it's encrypted, then this guy cannot decrypt it. So don't use open Wi-Fi for anything but just news reading. Moving on, about the future. Maybe it's not the future, it's 2011. It's 2011 in South Korean subway station. The Tesco opened virtual store. Right, so you have nice pictures, so while you're waiting for the train to come, you can shop. It's just a picture with QR codes. So you, with your smartphone, you like the coffee, you scan, then you pay from the phone, and while you are going with the train, probably the goods are already delivered to your home. Perfect solution, you have spare time, you use that spare time for shopping. 2011, right? There is a lot of good ways how to use QR codes. Are you familiar with QR codes? Yeah? I have business cards with my QR code. Do you have business cards with QR code? Yeah, you scan with a smartphone. All the details, email address, phone numbers are stored there. So why I have it here? I want to say that QR codes are not secure. What is QR code? Yeah, it's a sophisticated picture. So the phone or the camera reads the picture, then some program tries to process it, right? And during this processing, several things might happen. 2012 in Russia, remember Tesco store was 2011. In 2012 in Russia, the hackers, they created this QR code, and they posted the stickers with QR code across, all public places. In the restaurant toilets, in the nightclub toilets, on the bus stations, in the metro. Simple, leaflet saying that scan the QR code and participate in the lottery. Something like that. No cost for you. Just scan and the phone will tell are you the lucky winner or not. Yeah, you scan, it says no, something happens, try again. You try again. You know what happens? The phone, without any user's consent, was sending SMS. SMS was sent to the premium number. What is the premium number? If you participate in charity, you can send SMS, so some money will be deducted. You can order some horoscope. You can do lots of things with premium numbers, right? So the hackers, they created a premium number, $5 one SMS, and thousands of people were scanning those QR codes. So these guys now are billionaires, or maybe millionaires, and they are not in Russia any longer. They are somewhere, I don't know, in Mexico, Nicaragua, or where. Yeah, so one case. Another case, same year, 2012, security researchers, they worked with Samsung Galaxy phones. They discovered the hole in the Samsung's operating system, so that if you scan the QR code, your phone can be reset or factory reset without any confirmation. So year after this store was in Seoul, opened the store in 2011, in 2012, such trick that if you scan the code, it goes to the factory format, you lose all your pictures, all your contacts, everything. Yeah, so be careful. Don't scan anything anywhere. Yeah. If I give you my business card, of course you can scan. But be cautious. Of course, after such security incidents, the phone makers, they created additional layers of security, but you never know when it will be breached again. So phones are being attacked. If previously only computers were attacked, now everyone is attacking the phones. Why to attack the phone? Because you do banking from the phone, you do lots of good stuff on the phone, you keep some credentials on the phone. By the way, do you give your phone to your children to play? I do.
No, of course.
Nobody? Yeah, of course, everyone does. Yeah? I'm giving sometimes, but you know, I'm saying don't install the crap, and then she says no, yeah, I will not. And this is screenshots from my daughter's phone. She is 10 years old. I had the antivirus installed, and you see that there are some detections. And there is even an article from BBC that Google Play, official store, missed the infected game, which is Russian Durak card game. So you download, and that game starts to do some bad things on your phone, right? So then Google, after a few days, removed it, but my daughter managed to install it. Yeah. I don't know how it happens, but it happens. So my recommendation is that I put the screenshots from my phone. Put the settings like this. It's Android phone, right? You constantly receive updates from the manufacturer. You don't allow installation from unknown sources. So this means that applications can be installed only from an official source. For Android, it's Google Play. If you work on iPhone, it's iTunes Store, right? But if you try to mess with the phone, there are different, guys doing rooting the phone, so-called rooting. Yeah, on Android, you try to get the root access to the operating system of the phone. That's fine, as long as you know what you are doing. But I'm pretty sure that one day you will be a target or you will be a victim of the infection. Right, so simple recommendation, don't install things from unknown sources, right? But even the official sources can miss the protection. So now moving on, do you know what is Captcha? Most of you probably know what is Captcha, right? So why do I talk about the Captcha? So imagine that you worked on Wi-Fi, you have installed some insecure application on the phone, so you're actually victim of the virus. And the virus is trying to steal the money from your bank account. So it does the money transfer, but as the last layer of the security, the bank is putting the Captcha, because the Captcha is intended to decide or to identify you are human or robot, you're human or program, right? So this picture is currently too hard for the computer, right? So only human can recognize. So it means that we are secure. So if the virus is trying to steal the money, it will be stopped by the Captcha in some sites or even some banks are using. So does it mean that we are safe? Maybe. So do you know how to break the Captcha? So if one human invented something, another human tries to, to break it. Do you know how to break the Captcha? Anyone? Good. Let's talk about confidence. Cool. So there is a website or e-commerce website for hackers. Imagine official e-commerce site for hackers. You go there, you pay money, and they help you to solve the captchas. So your program or your virus is sending every picture it receives from the bank or from the site to this company, and in 11 seconds, 10 seconds, the humans are processing those captchas. So there are thousands of workers, Vietnam, Pakistan, you see India, Indonesia, Ukraine, and actually the picture is changing. It works 24/7, right? So if it's a day here, so you will see more from Ukraine and Russia. If it's night, then from China, from India, and so on. With a ridiculous fee, some people are able to solve those captchas. So they are solving thousands of captchas, per day. So the program sends the picture, receives the text, like in this example or in this example. And then the last layer of security is broken, right? So don't think that Captcha will solve everything. And the final thoughts on this malware or viruses. So Kaspersky Labs, the Russian security company, which has some relations to KGB probably. Yeah. It's not officially confirmed that we know. Published this article about equation group set of viruses. So this is most sophisticated set of viruses to date, right? So nothing more sophisticated exists yet. And the set of viruses is dating back to 1996. Can you imagine? 1996, and they are still working. The set of viruses, it's a complex. It's hundreds of sub-small programs are targeting different devices using different techniques. And these viruses are able to target including all operating systems, including Windows and T4. So when I was 20 years old, I was working with NT4. And still, these viruses can affect infect those systems. The trick is that the virus control centers are distributed across the world, so in many countries, right? In US, UK, Ireland, I suspect even Lithuania has some servers controlling those viruses. So, infection rates, you can see with this dark red color, Russia, Iran, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, so all the not the most friendly countries to the Russia or Israel. So these countries are really targets for this sophisticated software. And most likely it is related to US NSA, National Security Agency. And it was confirmed by Eric Snowden, right? So he showed some documents providing evidence that it was created by NSA. The problem is that it's such sophisticated software that complete detection or complete cure is impossible. One example, the software is able to infect your the hard drive's firmware, right? So not the hard drive like a typical virus, but it goes into the firmware. And the hard drive manufacturers usually do not provide the possibility to read the firmware from the hard drive. So you can program it, but you cannot read it back. So to know there is a virus or not on your hard drive, there is only one way: to disassemble it, connect to your GTAC interfaces or whatever, and read from the chip. But nobody is doing this, right? The good news is that this set of software is targeting you with precision of a sniper, right? They are not infecting all of us. They're infecting only the target they want to infect. Like when they were hunting Osama bin Laden, I'm pretty sure that it was the way how they traced back. So you are safe, yeah? But you are safe as long as you are not trading with Iran or similar country. If you do, you might be attacked by this sophisticated software. Your summary of this block. So make sure that you update your software firmware on every device, that you use secure connections like VPN on Open Wi-Fi, and you are cautious when using IT technologies. So now we're moving to the IT paralysis threat. Remember, if IT stops, your company might stop. Is it a big deal if your company's website stops for 40 minutes? Who thinks that it's a big deal? 40 minutes, your company's website is not responding. Nothing special, right? Amazon, 2013, they stopped for 40 minutes. It cost them $5 million. Can you imagine this? Of course, in Lithuania or in this region, we have smaller companies. But for Amazon, it was $5 million, just 40 minutes stop. Another example, a few months back, Bloomberg terminals, you know, these stock trading terminals, went down on Friday. On that day, the UK government had to buy back the government debit. So they couldn't do that because the terminals went down. Huge losses. I didn't Google, maybe it was already announced how much they paid because of this. Yeah, a few hours of stop, and then your company might go bankrupt. Picture from the company or from the store in Lithuania, in Vilnius. I worked for that company at that time. Do you see any anomaly here in this picture? It's a grocery store. Anyone? Everything looks normal? Okay, I can provide a hint. If you pay attention to this line, it's milk, right, out of the fridge. And it's a little bit too much of milk. So there was no space for milk. And the problem was that in that company, the software which was running ordering forecasting went crazy. So it started to order one type of goods too many pieces, other goods too little. So this was a milk, you put on the fridge, but the frozen food, you have the fridges, they have limited capacity, right? You put, and then it's full. Then it goes to the trash. The good thing about this incident was that company was prepared. So we had, I was in charge of that company's IT at that time. So we had kind of simulations done previously. What happens if something happens, right? So we had vendors who were able to support us on a shortfall. We had trained internal people, and we knew how to switch from automatic ordering to the manual ordering. So when we discovered that system is getting crazy, we immediately switched to a different mode of working, and then we recovered pretty fast. So make sure that you are prepared for such situations, because there might be a bug in the system which appears after 2 months in production, maybe, because that was the case. Another picture, I like it very much. When I visit our customers, I see this picture quite often. So it's a desk, then we have a server under the desk. And that server, we're running bookkeeping, everything. Lawyers put their documents, it's file server, database server, everything. And on top of a server, we keep a backup device, and then on top of backup device, we keep a backup tapes. So now you imagine what happens if there is a fire. You are sure you don't have your data. So make sure that you don't store the server under the desk, and you don't keep backup tapes in the same place. So my question is to you, do you have a backup? Everyone? You sure? So you sleep well, everyone does backup, it's reliable, so you can go for vacation. If there is a fire, you quickly restore, everything is fine. Do you know that it was quite recent research that only 5% of backups are tested on a regular basis each quarter. So only 5% of the data you are backing up, you are testing on a regular basis. A more worrying figure is that 17% or 1/6 of those backups fail to recover. So you test only 5%, right? And then every 6th of these tested backups fail. I would never drive a car without airbags, right? So think about this. You have to test, not only backup, but you have to test it. Can you recover? If you can recover, question is how fast can you recover? Remember Amazon case, 40 minutes? Is it good for your business? Maybe it's 200 people sitting without a job while you are recovering. 4 hours maybe it's too much for your company. For some companies it's okay, 5, 8 hours, yeah, maybe 2 days is enough. So every company should decide how fast you have to recover, and you have to test it. So recommendations from this IT paralysis, so make sure that you back up the data and you test it. Yeah? You have to entrust critical infrastructure hosting to professionals. Don't keep the servers under the desk. And be prepared for an emergency, like in the previous example. Have those scenarios in mind. Try to think what happens if your mail system stops. Maybe nothing, right? Your website stops, maybe nothing. But maybe your document system stops. Then your company is paralyzed. So, moving to the last block about IT vitamins or healthy business only with healthy IT. Yeah, so you need to have efficient IT to support your business. And you can only be successful if your IT is successful, not the opposite, right? So IT specialist is not a wizard. I used to be an IT specialist 20 years ago, and I was a wizard, kind of a wizard. 20 years ago in IT, you do everything. You know everything, you do everything. But times have changed. And it's good that I realized quite early, so I stopped being a wizard. I decided to do something more smart than this wizard. So why is it so? Lots of IT competences are needed in the current world to run IT. Yeah, multiple competences. And do you think that companies having 1 or 2 guys in the IT department can cover all of those? You know, development, security, infrastructure, application development, sophisticated things. Impossible. One example. What do you know about software licensing? I get crazy when the guys are coming, you know, with a purchase order that we need to buy licenses, and they try to explain why do we need to buy, because we forgot to budget. No. The licensing rules are per core, per processor, per gigabyte, per user, per company's revenue, per clicks. Unbelievable. it's impossible to predict, what kind of licenses you might need tomorrow if you are not specializing in this area. One example. One Lithuanian company, you can not Google, you go to 15 minutes LT, you Google, not Google, but you search what kind of company received this fine. It's quite significant fine, I would say, for Lithuanian company. Oracle, the new database released new feature which is by default activated. So if the administrator takes the database installation disk, installs the database, it gets this feature activated, it's in memory feature, that costs a lot of money. Yeah? So make sure that you consult the professionals. Don't do the licensing on your own, because the software vendors they have thousands of lawyers. They are putting some traps in the license agreements. So if you're alone, you will never succeed fighting them, right? So if you talk to the professionals who are specializing in this, then it might help. Also, it's important to notice that most of the companies do the physical inventory of the equipment you use in the company. Don't forget about inventory of your software assets. You know where it is installed, when, why, and so on. One more example. I worked in Latvia for 9 years, so that's why I'm keeping this example. It was middle of a crisis, middle of economical crisis, 2010. And the Latvian tax inspectorate lost all the data they had on their computer network, so to say. So what happened there? The problem was that Latvian tax inspectorate, they ordered the software from the Latvian company and they asked to build the software from the scratch. So they knew what kind of functionality we want to have. So they explained, and this company was building the software. The whole process was focused on the functionality, that it's performing well, it's convenient to use, everything. Yeah? So every Latvian company was uploading the electronic data about their taxes, about bonus payouts, about salaries to this website. Everyone was uploading it, right? But there was a possibility that the hackers, or even me, I can download all these documents to my PC without any passwords. Yeah, and it happened. Some guys were downloading terabytes of data from that site. And the worst thing, they started to share the data with the TV, with the journalists. So 2010, Latvia is cutting salaries, reducing pensions, right? And then on TV, the guys are coming and saying that the public companies are paying bonuses. Public companies are increasing salaries, and they are publish the real data. So lots of people were fired. What a mess, yeah? And the biggest mistake, creating software from the scratch and focusing on the functionality, forgetting the security. Another example about lost and stolen devices. You know how many lost devices per year, per day we have? Computers, smartphones. Every device holds some data. Even your USB stick, if you have, right? If you lose it, think about it. I can recover data from, or you can recover, you download software and you can recover. You can recover the previous pictures which were stored on the stick. So if you lose it, you think that your picture's probably in someone's hand. So, recent example from, maybe we have to focus on Coca-Cola case. Yeah, Coca-Cola lost some notebooks, some laptop computers with unencrypted data. And now the former employees are suing Coca-Cola for loss of their private data. And it will be millions of compensations because of this. So who should be fired? Who should be fired in case you lose the data? Or in case your company is breached? IT? In some cases, it's even CEOs get fired. In this case, the Target CEO, the second largest retailer in US, the CEO was fired because of a massive breach of data. So make sure that the security, IT security is high on your agenda. And one simple recommendation, use the built-in tools like Windows BitLocker. You just go, enable encryption on external drive, on internal drive, and if you lose it, it's safe. Now the last block about IT outsource and IT. Should I have it in-house or outsource? My recommendation, keep the right balance. Never outsource 100, never keep in-house 100, right? Every company should find the balance. But if you outsource everything, you have zero IT knowledge, then the vendor is controlling you, right? So never do 100% outsourcing. When we speak about IT security, there are different layers of IT security, so think about these layers. If you If you use different solutions for different layers, like network, servers, and end-user computers, if you use software or applications or devices to protect different layers, make sure that these devices are coming from different vendors. So if one layer is breached, there is a probability that it will be stopped on the second layer. I saw some companies running, entire security on one vendor's solution. That's a disaster. Because if that vendor is compromised, then it goes straight to as much as it is possible. So, consider commercial applications or open source, but don't build from scratch. Yeah? Balance between in-house and outsource. Encrypt the data. It's so easy to encrypt. Plenty of applications, even built in. Yeah, and IT security must be high on your agenda. So, final questions for you or for your teams when you return home. You can ask, your IT guys, where do you keep your backups? Yeah, just ask this question and see how they answer. If you work in IT, you can think how you will answer that question. Do you know how long does it take to restore? Ask the guys, What do you do? What does your company do if a key IT personnel leaves the company? Do you have a documentation in place? Do you have a procedure so that you can hire another vendor or another person? So what might go wrong if your company is hacked? Remember Amazon or Target, CEO is fired, Amazon 5 million losses. Do you have IT strategy? Yeah. And do you feel confused when talking about IT? So that's it. I wish you a pleasant journey, and I'm ready to answer questions, if any.
So, any questions? Everything is clear.
Okay.
No questions.
Maybe your presentation was quite threatening. And, I thought I gave myself a question about the relationship between the added value of IT systems and the cost of threats, or how many economically we need to invest in order to be on a more or less normal level from the company's point of view. So in their budget, which percentage, the average numbers should be given to deal with these security threats?
Probably it depends on the industry you're working on, right? If you remember this early stages when the software was developed, nothing was spent on security, right? Now it's probably software vendors are spending from 20 to 30% of efforts just to test the security, to plug the holes and so on. So the same in your company. I don't know, it could be from 5 to 20% of IT costs should be dedicated to the security. Again, as I'm representing Teo, yes, ICT company, we are paranoid about security because our networks across all Lithuania, and if something wrong goes with our networks, the Lithuania is paralyzed. So we're really spending a lot of money on security. But in the retail company I worked before, it was, let's say, about 10% from the total IT budget, because the most of the money was going for the business applications.
More questions?
Yes, please.
What about distributed denial of service attacks? How can we stop them?
You as I don't know if you are representing company, big company or a telecom operator, but as a single user you cannot stop it. Even we as Teo, we have a biggest network in Lithuania, right? We have a huge pipes to foreign countries. We are struggling with this. Because then when this DDoS is coming, it's coming from across the world. I can give you a recent example. Israel was attacked from China. You can Google, Israel attack from China, and you can search with torrent, because it was due to the torrent. So the users are using uTorrent program to download movies and documents. Right? So China, you have billions of citizens, so a few hundred millions probably downloading some kind of movies. And in China, they have this so-called China firewall, or the central hub where all the connections are passing, and then China is providing DNS services to their computer users. So the DNS server of China provided Israeli IP address to the request about piratebay.se address. So piratebay.se was closed some years ago. Now it's probably open again. But lots of torrents, which are available on the net, are still pointing to piratebay.se. So instead of returning that such address does not exist, the Chinese DNS server returned the Israeli IP address. So hundreds of millions uTorrent users send the request to Israel. And if it's hundreds of millions, it's hundreds of gigabytes of data. And then no one can stop it. So what we are doing as an operator, we have different levels. And we're able to use such technique as called black holing. So if we see that there is attack coming from outside to some of our IP addresses, we can announce that address as non-existent. Then the IT attack stops immediately on the operator's level. So internally, let's say in Lithuania, this IP address is still working, but it cannot be reached from outside, let's say from US. So that's the only protection we can provide, and we are using it quite often. We have even automatic protection if there is attack which is exceeding certain thresholds. That IP address is being blackballed, so then it becomes inaccessible from outside, but let's say from Lithuania you can still access it. Mm-hmm. Yes, please.
Yeah. I need to ask a question about the attacker. I mean, if someone is attacked by an attacker, let's say an IT attacker by an hacker, and how long does it take for a person to recognize from where it is being attacked? He's been attacked or he's been attacked. I mean, there are attackers who are using proxies. They are changing their IP addresses. Maybe someone is in east of the world and he's using an IP address of a western country and then attacking a north country. So how long does it take? I mean, is it impossible or what?
Yeah, like I was showing this equation group. Yes, so control servers are distributed across the world. In every country you can find some virtual server which was paid by some PayPal. If you try to trace back, you will not find who was the real person paying for that service. Yeah, so usually hackers are hiding so well that there is no chance, unless it's targeting, I don't know, US president, then you make sure, I'm sure that we will trace back, But if it's just regular hacker, it's 50-50, I would say. But it depends on the technique the hackers are using. Yeah, it's very hard to trace back, especially if it's sophisticated attack like I was showing with Synology devices. Yeah? They received $30 million, but the currency was used Bitcoin. Bitcoin is kind of anonymous, you cannot trace it.
So it's almost impossible, you are saying, if you are not an important person.
Yes, because lots of home computers are infected, and these computers are used as a intermediate hosts to target attacks. So there might be chain of infected computers, and the hacker might be standing in 100 of such computers. To trace everything back is almost impossible because it's cross-country. If it's within EU, then it's a little bit easy because, let's say, our officials are communicating pretty well. But when you see Afghanistan, Russia, then it's gone.
Thank you.
Any questions? No more questions. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a small gift for you.
Oh, thank you.
This is IT safe and
charger.
I'm not sure about this because this is USB charger. And let's say some words about this.
Okay, just some words about evaluation form. So we decided to increase your motivation to return your opinion about our conference. So I think everyone will find in your conference back evaluation form, and we will be inviting you just to complete this form and return to the conference desk, and we exchange this form to conference small gift. Okay? It's a
USB charger.
Okay, so thank you for this session, and we can go to the coffee break.